So his cousin sells him off.
Sounds like a fan fiction for One Direction. Hey, I can't hear. I'm gonna sell you to One Direction. So.
Hi everybody, this is Lindsay.
And I'm Sammy.
And this is everyone's favorite BL podcast.
BL buddy. This time it was you. And we thought we were doing better.
I'm just gonna leave it like that.
Okay. There we go. That works.
Okay, so we talked about BL, yaoi, manhwas that should be made into dramas. Now we're going to talk about our least favorite manga and manhwas.
We even talked about our favorite, like
We did talk about our favorites.
Our comfort.
Yeah, our comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I mean, if I start reading them, I tend to forget them. There's only one that I really remember. Do you want me to go first since I only have really one? Sammy has three. So the one that I know the most about, and it's because the side story is one of my favorites. The side story is super adorable.
I was wondering where he was today. I was like, I didn't hear him yelling at his computer.
Because his door's shut because he's a kitten. He doesn't want her in there eating anything.
That's fair.
Even though she's just in our room sleeping now. He's like, what? I don't exist? He doesn't exist? Okay. So. Fudge. Okay, you talk. I'm trying to.
Okay. I will talk about one of my least favorites. It's like
I had it loaded and then I accidentally
clicked off of it. Yeah, that happens to me too. So one of my least favorites is and it's a very popular one, which is why I like your Tharn type. This is my okay. Killing Stalking.
Ooh, you talked about this, haven't you?
I mentioned it in the previous video about how I thought BJ Alex and it were like similar and I didn't read BJ Alex because of it. Clearly that means I didn't like Killing Stalking. It is a extremely like effed up, like Toxic doesn't even cover how effed up it is. Relationship, I mean, the dude's a serial killer, but he also kidnaps this kid and the kid is like obsessed with him and is stalking him and like realizes he's a killer, and it's like it's just so effed up. I couldn't even get past like I want to say the third chapter of this thing, and I think it went on for almost 2 or 3 seasons because people ate it up. They loved this couple. And I just went. I literally scratched my head because I could not compute how people loved it. And like I'm all for suspending reality, but there's a point where even I just can't. And when I read even like those 2 chapters that I read, my stomach was just like I couldn't. It was just so messed up. It was so not my cup of tea. And I know it's a very popular one, so like clearly it's a lot of other people's cup of tea. It was I will never, you cannot convince me that it gets better. At any point does that get better. And I will stand by that it will not get better. And I can't. That is probably my absolute, it's not even least favorite. I absolutely hate it. Like I'm using the word hate for that one because I really did hate it.
Yeah. It's actually similar to the one that I'm going to talk about.
Oh, okay, there you go.
People love it. I couldn't get past the premise of it. So it's Okani ga Nai. So I'm going to read you the summary. So Ayase is a university student whose cousin Tetsuro betrays him, sells him in an auction to settle his debts. So his cousin sells him off.
Sounds like a fan fiction for One Direction. Hey, I can't hear. I'm going to sell you to One Direction. So
Ayase is bought by Kanu for 1.2 billion yen because he's a virgin. So he gets Okay, so the reason behind Kanu doing this is because he remembers Ayase from 4 years ago when he, as a stranger, saved him. Because he's a Yakuza.
Okay.
So Kanu is a Yakuza, so, whatever.
Yeah.
Now he wants to keep him close and protect him because he's in love with him. He falls in love with him when he saves him. He calls him an angel.
Okay.
So he loves Ayase, and Ayase college student, but he looks like he's 12.
Mm,
Looks like a child.
never a fan of
Um,
those.
so he uses the 1.2 billion debt to force him to live with him. It gets worse.
Oh God.
Then he says, who is still a student and doesn't have a job, he is forced to sell his body to Kanyu for 500,000 yen each time they have sex. So it's like a really like
Yeah, I don't.
toxic,
Mm-mm,
toxic relationship.
mm-mm.
And I got through it and it's still going. It's been going since 2002. It is 17 volumes. People love it.
These
And
Japanese ones go forever. They like
ever.
never end.
So I mean, the art, people don't like the art. I think it's really, really pretty. It's
It
very
is, that is
whimsy.
pretty, but
Their art's very pretty. So
no.
like he gets really goofy and kind of you kind of like him, and then you at the same time you hate him because it is assault.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
so I used to like I think if he gave him a chance, he would have just generally fallen in love with
Mhm.
him because he's such a
Yeah.
pure-hearted person. But the fact that he uses this debt to keep him
This is a wild ride.
Dude,
That's too funny.
Cosmo wants his bed and Stella sleeping in it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Cosmo.
I don't think you guys heard the
Yeah, probably not.
yowling, but so yeah, so like I wanted to love it.
Yeah.
I do love the art. It's
Mhm.
very me. But at the same time, I just was like,
It was not a.
it's just so toxic in a
Mhm.
way. And again, like the side story, Kanu, the mafia boss, his best friend is a drag queen,
Mm.
and I love her story. It's called
Mm.
Henshin Dekanai, and it's just super cute. It's like her falling in love with a Yankee, um, and she doesn't accept her male counterpart because of parental issues. Um, but he falls in love with her and then falls in love with the male version of her.
Oh, okay.
So he loves both sides to her
Oh, okay.
and helps her
I like that.
like herself
Yeah.
and himself. So yeah, that side story is
See, that sounds more like.
what I would enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I really enjoyed like that's like a main verse side.
Yeah.
And like I love Ayushi. Like Ayushi's like the most cutest little thing, even though he's in college. But like, and the things that they put him in, and like clothing wise in
Yeah.
this manga is, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the toxicity of the relationship just,
Yeah.
ugh,
Yeah. It was too much.
it's a
Like,
lot.
I
It's a
feel like
lot. Because then at one point, like he
there's a
literally
line.
just throws money on him, and he's just like, yeah, like their
Oh,
NC scenes are pretty intense
yeah.
too. So that is one of mine.
Yeah.
I'm not big into assault,
Yeah.
and a lot of mangas have that
Mhm.
as a crutch.
A crutch and like the starting point
Yeah, a lot
for,
of
and it's like this
essay
is not
in the
healthy.
starting point.
This
No,
is not
and
healthy.
like I said, like some mangas that I've gone through, like they get really healthy and there's
Mhm.
growth and it's really cute, and I'm like, and then I reread it and I'm like, how did
Yeah.
I get through this whole thing?
Yeah. It's like, like with Big Dragon.
Oh yeah,
That I was like, how do people start a
this
relationship off
hardcore.
of this? And like,
Yeah,
I'm like, the thing that concerns me and
is
is
it
that
makes
like
it normal?
it's trying to normalize that,
Yeah,
and that's not okay.
no,
And I will stand by that. It is not okay.
yeah,
SA is not cool, kids.
no,
Okay.
it is
And I don't think any of you think that, but
right.
I'm just putting it out there
Yeah,
that like we again you can allow yourself to suspend reality, but at
right.
some point it's too much that
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
not okay. And
Yeah, I don't understand why a lot of them, especially the older ones,
yeah.
like in the early 2000s, like I would
Mhm.
read them and I'm like, this
It's not,
this
yeah.
isn't. And then like they again, like they work through their problems, and I get like it's a I don't know like the angst factor,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, and
Yeah.
that thing too. There's a lot of fan fictions, especially in the BL fan fiction world, that start off with that
Yeah.
too, and I'm just like,
There's ways to go, like I
this
think
is weird.
there's ways to go about starting a relationship
That hasn't had
with
assault.
sex.
Yeah,
Like
one night stands.
one night stands,
One night stands.
drunken hookup, like
Yeah.
also drunken hookups, you should obviously you
Consent.
consent and
Yeah.
things like that. So that's a fine
Yeah.
line, that one. But there's other ways to like
Or
friends
a
with
sexual.
benefits.
Yeah.
But like, why is
Even
it that?
the friends with benefits ones are super fucking toxic.
Wait,
But I'm
and so
just
like
like,
it's like why are we allowed like yeah, and this is in any I feel like this is in a lot of other genres outside
oh,
of
and
BL. Like it's
every,
not just BL,
oh no,
but like
it's in
I feel
heterosexual
like
ones too.
yeah, but I feel like it's almost more commonplace in the BLs and we accept it, which I feel like we should stop accepting it.
Yeah.
And we should be like, "Hey, stop putting this as a starting point for these
Right.
relationships
Right.
because
It's
it's
not
not
healthy.
healthy
Yeah.
and stop
It's
trying to
not
make it
realistic.
healthy."
Yeah.
And so like that's my issue with a lot of them, but I feel like they've minus Big Dragon, which is a recent one. I feel like they've kind of taken away, they've gotten rid of that like
They're
starting
starting
point.
to get rid
They're
of it.
starting to like figure out that that's not a good way. That's not a
Right.
healthy relationship
Right.
starting point. So like I'm excited to see that those aren't the
They're
way
starting
they're
to move.
starting.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see where it goes. But yeah, it's very much a starting point in a lot of ones I read and or watch, and
Yeah.
it needs to not be.
Yeah.
Um, Going off of that actually is my second least favorite, and it's pretty new. It's like
Mhm.
brand spanking new.
Mhm.
Um, and it's by the author of BJ Alex,
Okay.
which it was very sad to see how much I dislike it, and I couldn't even
Mm.
get past the first 4 or 5 chapters. It's Jinx.
Okay.
It's not Love Jinx, just Jinx, because there are two. This man. So I don't know if it's in the Japanese mangas and yaois and stuff like that. The crazy person, like the person who's supposed to be in my eyes the bad guy, whenever he is in that point, his eyes become super beady. They're just
Mhm.
like little black dots. That's his main character.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
Oh.
"Oh, okay, already starting off not great." He is a MMA fighter who just doesn't know when to stop and essentially almost kills every single person he fights because he just does not stop beating the ever living shit out of these other people.
Oh.
So he gets this new PT
Mhm.
for a day. The kid is
Mhm.
doing his thing. He ends up like liking what the PT does.
Right.
So he then calls him to his house at like midnight. And the
Mhm.
kid's like, that's a weird hour to be calling me, but okay, like I need the money. He needs the personal training. I will, go
Right.
or physical training. And I will go and do what he
Mhm.
needs. So he shows up to this psychopath arguing with this other guy, and this
Right.
other guy is like yelling at him saying, "Oh, you're just throwing me away. All I am to you is like a fuck buddy, blah blah
Mhm.
blah blah blah." And he's like, "I told you you're not doing it for me anymore." Like the
Right.
psycho was like, "You're not doing it for me anymore. I need something new."
Mhm.
And then this guy responds, "Well, I hope you lose your next fight because of this." This man takes him by the head and smashes it into the wall
Ugh.
and says, "If I lose my next match, I'm going to kill you."
Ugh.
This kid runs away. The physical trainer is like watching this entire thing, going, "What the hell is going on?" And then this dude proceeds to essentially SA him and is
Ew.
like, "That was good." And then he wins the match, and you find out that he has this
We talked
jinx
about this
of yeah,
before.
where he has like this jinx of if he doesn't get off the night before a fight,
He
he
loses.
loses.
Ugh.
And I stopped after that. I instantly stopped. I was like, that absolutely not. And I love the artwork because it is
Right.
the same as BJ Alex.
Right.
No.
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 Mm-mm.
When your main character has those beady crazy eyes, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because every time I see those eyes, I go, that's the bad guy.
Right.
Like he's crazy. He's like,
Right.
whatever.
There's
And
nothing wrong with him.
and
Yeah.
I'm
There's
like, nope.
something wrong with
Yeah.
him.
I'm like, no, absolutely not. Hard pass. And I know again, it's the artist of BJ Alex and whatnot, but no, it's
No.
too. I'm like,
It's too brutal.
how did you go from BJ Alex to this? Like, this
Right.
is so. and you know, the spicy scenes, like people, like one of my favorite Instagrammers, BL Instagrammers, they post like snippets, like little, like the one
Yeah.
or two of the
Yeah.
scenes, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's gotten better. So I go back and I'm like, absolutely not. Like the reason that scene is, I'm like, absolutely not.
Mhm.
But I'm like, why? Okay, I can't, and I cannot, do not like Jinx. Again, it's personal preference here.
Yeah, it's personal preference.
I'm just, I
Like,
don't like that start. I
I'm
don't
wondering.
like that starting point.
I think Haniganai has gotten better because it is in volume 17. So
Yeah.
I'm tempted to restart it again. But just
Yeah.
it's not my cup of tea.
Mm-mm.
Again, personal preference. This
Yep.
has never been my cup of tea. Like
Yeah.
even if you talk about Ken Porsche, I wasn't a huge Vegas Pete fan
Yeah.
because it was
I
quite
get it.
brutal.
I get it.
Um, but again,
It's weird. I like Pete so much. I'm just thinking about that. I'm like, oh, Vegas Pete, and then I'm like, wait,
but
wait, I'm a hypocrite now.
though like he wasn't
He
he
wasn't
was
sexually doing anything. He was just
he
torturing
was
him. He
torturing
was
him.
literally torturing him.
And then what they
I
consider
think,
when they did
yeah, because Pete made the move.
Pete made
Pete
the
made the
move.
first move,
Yeah, that's
not
true.
Vegas.
But yeah,
I
the
don't
two
know.
of them are just their BDSM.
Yeah.
They're BDSM addicts.
Yep.
I think that's what a lot of people just attributed is that they both
Yeah.
were a bit in the
Yeah.
in the scene.
In the scene.
In the scene. It's not my cup of tea.
Yep.
But go to your
Oh,
last
I have
one.
my last one. This one is just, I couldn't get into the storyline. It was called I literally full volume.
Mm.
It's another, and I thought I would like it because it's another broadcasting
Yeah.
jockey kind of thing
Yeah.
where he's this broadcasting jockey, um, and this guy's watching him and he enjoys watching him and all that, and then he keeps complaining about his neighbor making too much noise,
Mhm.
and then he like goes to knock on the neighbor's door and he realizes that his neighbor is the broadcasting jockey,
Oh, interesting.
but he acts very bizarre towards him. Like, and it's not like a,
I'm trying to pretend that I don't know you're
yeah,
famous.
it's just like he's very and then like the broadcasting jockey is very quiet and doesn't like show his emotions, kind of like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one that you like, where
yeah.
he's like he doesn't know how to interact with
Right,
people
he
and
doesn't know how to show
say that
himself.
he like, you know, whatever, and like so the neighbor thinks that he's being a dick when he's not, and he starts like going off on him for no reason and like yelling at him, and like he keeps, oh, that's why he goes over to the neighbor's house because he can't he keeps getting the delivery address wrong, and it's going to the neighbor, so the
Okay.
neighbor's getting sick of having to leave the packages, so
Gotcha.
he like angrily like knocks and he's like, figure out your packages, blah blah blah, and then he realizes that his neighbor is um
The
the
jockey.
broadcasting jockey he likes and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, if I kept reading, it would get better. But
Right.
another thing is they gave the broadcasting jockey like not a chest, but like actual like breasts, like almost like female type breasts, and I'm like, I was confused a little bit, but like, is he trans? Is he like, is it what is that kind of? And even the like cover is like him holding out his camera and like his I'm gonna call them boobs. They're not like, it's
Right.
not like pectoral.
Right.
It's boobs.
Right.
So it was a very weird artwork.
Uh-huh.
So I was kind of confused on like that. Maybe that's another like like a thing down the road that
Mm.
again I didn't read further,
Right.
but I just was like really confused by it. And again, I didn't really like the guy who's supposed to be the main character. I liked the, you know, the quiet,
Right.
internally he's freaking out because he
Right.
thinks he actually likes his neighbor and thinks
Right.
she's cute and whatnot. I liked that, but the neighbor himself, I just was off putting to me. Didn't
Mm.
like the way he spoke to the guy. So like it
Gotcha.
was just like this weird thing. But like I could see it maybe getting better, and it again didn't start with SA. So I mean, it could have ended it could have continued going and whatnot, but I
Right.
just did not vibe with their relationship, and
Gotcha.
it wasn't like anything like I hated it. It wasn't my jam, and ended up like just not continuing it. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are the ones
Those are
yeah, our our least
Let us
favorite.
know your opinion on them if you've
Yeah,
read any of them
and
or
any that you aren't a fan of and
yeah,
why you're not a fan of
yeah.
them.
Let us know.
Yeah, we'd love to know.
Yeah.
So keep us posted.
Yeah, guys.
Thank you again for
Yeah.
watching, and please subscribe and follow us on all our other socials.
Things.
Um, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys.